Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce. How you doing, man?
Hey, David. How are you doing tonight?
Well, I thought I was going to be writing one of the happiest game stories of the year that an Oilers goalie, without a doubt, absolutely stole a win. And it would have been the first time that had happened because the Oilers were completely and utter dominated by the Avs this game until the end when the Oilers started to make it close in overtime. But he just couldn't hang on, Skinner, through no fault of his own. I gave him a 9 in that game. Mm-hmm. The Avs had 29 grade A shots, Bruce. 29 grade A shots. And
how many five alarms?
13. And the Oilers had 13 grade A shots and
that's about seven expected goals by our methods for the Avs.
Yeah, they just were. Kevin Bieksa thought that the Oilers are one of the few teams he thought could play with the Avs, match up well against them. I'm not seeing it. I didn't see it in the playoffs last year, and tonight didn't change my mind in any way. The Avs, right from the start of the game, Bruce, were all over Edmonton. And I'm just going to, at even strength, it was 20-7 for grade A shots for the Avs. So the Oilers, Bruce, they didn't have an even strength grade A shot on net until 10 minutes into the third period when Zach Hyman finally got one. That was their first all game long. So it was just a dominant performance. And I'll just start with my good thing. This is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. In this 3-2 overtime loss, well, a real quick good thing is the Oilers got a loser point out of this. So all was not lost, and that improved my mood considerably. But my good thing is Stuart Skinner. He was fantastic tonight, Bruce. He just so solid through this game, and I thought he actually might get it done, might figure out a way to do it. But Nathan McKinnon bearing down 1 billion miles an hour, cutting through your 2 best defensemen like they were peewee hockey players in the third period and slicing in on net with a great shot, that'll change things fast. And that's exactly what happened. It was a great play by a great player. The Avs have 2 great players in McKinnon and McCarr. I think they're the only 2 players in the NHL who come close to comparing to McDavid and Draisaitl in terms of their impact on games. They might have every bit as much impact.
They had more tonight, I would say.
They had more tonight. They had more in the playoffs. Now in the playoffs, Leon Draisaitl was hurt. Now he's still looking a little hurt to me. He's not doesn't look completely agile still to me right now. But yeah, McKinnon and McCarr outplayed them tonight, and that's why that's part of the reason that the Avs won. How many shots on net did McKinnon have in the end anyway?
I'll tell you right away. 11.
11.
16 shot attempts, 11 on goal. Rantanen had 12 shot attempts, 9 on goal, and 2 that hit the crossbar.
Well, McKinnon,
line, man. Wow.
His goal was his 10th shot on net.
Yeah.
It came on his 10th shot on net.
Mm-hmm.
Skinner was beat on that. He was beat again. What was the next goal? That came later.
Brad Hunt. Superstar Brad Hunt.
Now that was through a screen. Kulak screened him, and maybe
perfect shot.
That's why
Hunt really can shoot the pill. That was his ticket to the majors when Craig McTavish signed him out of Chicago State or whatever university he came from. No, I mixed him up. He wound up with the Chicago Wolves, but the Oilers signed him based on, I think, largely on his ability to play on the power play and fire the pill. And he's always had that weapon, and we saw it tonight. That was a lethal shot right in off the post.
Yeah. The overtime goal McCarr mentioned that he thought it might have deflected in off his stick, and I
Mm-hmm.
think Kelly Hrudey mentioned that. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's exactly what happened. McDavid got his
Mm-hmm.
stick just a little bit, and it dropped a bit, but it was still just a hell of a laser shot as McCarr's right, charging in. One of the fastest players in the NHL charging in, making a hard shot, which is slightly deflected, and it went in. So those were the three goals against. But other than that, Skinner, he is a very interesting goalie, Bruce, in that he seems to be outstanding positionally. He just he's just in the right place constantly to block shots. He looks super solid in the net. He doesn't and he doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't generally, although his save percentage has been a little lower. It was 900, I think, in the last 10 game segment. I think remember reading that in your post recently. So he
Yes.
hasn't been acing it lately, but he aced it tonight. He's proving that he's the Oilers' number one goalie, and he got them the loser point. That's on him. That was just fantastic play by Stuart Skinner tonight. So, um, way to go, kid. All right, what's your good thing, Bruce?
Yeah. Yeah. My good thing is Zach Hyman.
Yeah,
He was all over it tonight, and he was. He's of course scored both Edmonton goals on the power play. Just doing his thing, hanging around the front of the net, and he wrapped home a nice pass from Connor McDavid for the 1-0, and then he jammed a shot home through traffic that uh, was greasy enough that Colorado called for a video review because I thought it was goalie interference because he kind of jammed into the goalie's pad, but by the time his stick hit the pad, the puck was already through and definitely going in the net. The refs got that one right. Didn't get them all right tonight, but they got that one right. And then Colorado got a delay a game penalty um, uh, for the video review, and then they took another penalty right after that for tripping McDavid. And the Oilers had a two-man advantage for 13 seconds, and another extended power play. So basically had 4 minutes more power play after 2-0. If they could have scored there, and they did come close, it's not like they had a bad power play, but Alexander Georgiev, George V, just built a brick wall in front of his net for the whole rest of the game. He was really good in this game too, I thought.
yes,
And it was he made a couple of fine saves, and it seemed like Hyman, like I said to my wife in the third period, I said he's got 2 goals and he could have had 6. I mean, if everything was going in, because he had so many great chances.
yes,
And then in overtime, he comes out and he wins a board battle, and he just powers and basically wills his way to the front of the net, rings a shot off the post, which I'm not sure there was a lot of room there, but he definitely found iron. The rebound popped in the air, and Hyman just whacked it out of the air with like got full contact with it down and right, looked like into the net. And I was about to celebrate the win, and somehow Georgiev got a piece of that one. And I mean, I guess he must have just whacked it because he didn't have time to move from that range. He must have just whacked it into his foot or something because there was a lot of net there, and he made real good contact. Hyman himself just couldn't believe it. And then, of course, seconds later, he was the first guy who McCarr left in the dust at the end. I'm not sure Hyman had much of a chance at McCarr there, but it was the end of his shift, and McCarr was spinning away from him when he got the puck. But maybe in the neutral zone, he could have taken a little harder angle on him, but he was at the end of his shift, and unfortunately, whoever came out to replace him got a big fat -1 for. Nope, nobody even replaced him. He got it. So, but Hyman himself, like, it's pretty hard to criticize his effort in this game and his performance. I mean, he could have had 4 or 5 goals legit. Give him the 2 he got, and then add on all the chances that didn't go in, and could have been one of those big payoffs for a lucky fan who shops at Safeway. Anyway, he was officially credited, David, according to Natural Stat Trick. had the Oilers actually with the edge and high danger chances in this game, 18-16. I know we saw it different. What we have at 13-9 for
Yeah,
Colorado for 5
yeah,
alarms, but they score it different and they score static things that are go on a stats page, like where the shot came from, how close to the net it was, um, things like that. Whereas we tend to score dynamic things like is the goalie moving, is the puck moving, across the ice, is the player himself moving, what are the screen guys moving in front of the goalie's vision doing? Like there's a whole lot of stuff going on that you can't scrape from game sheets. So our results are always different. Anyway, according to Natural Stat Trick, Zach Hyman had 11 of the 18 high danger chances that the Oilers had in this game. One player, 11 high danger chances. Holy moly. He was just all over it.
he had nine. He had 9 shots. They count missed shots as well, so
Well, they
that's
probably counted that post, and they
yeah.
probably,
Well, we counted
you
that
know,
post too. We didn't count it as a 5 alarm shot though, and
and there was one where he shot it, and who was the defender? JT Comfer came back and it looked like he had an open net. This was fairly late in the third period. There was a huge pileup at the edge of the crease, and Georgiev stuffed McDavid, and then it looked like Hyman had the open net, and JT Comfort came back and got a little piece of it and deflected it wide. I mean, whether you call that high danger, holy, I thought that was going to be the goal. So I
yeah,
also
Hyman
thought,
didn't really get a shot
how
there.
come JT Comfort can make plays like that and Edmonton's forwards can't? But that's a different question.
Yeah,
That maybe more belongs under the bad things.
yeah.
This may be foreshadowing from me here, but
Hyman didn't really get a shot there, did he? I didn't see
he
a
got a
shot.
shot that was blocked.
Do you think it
So
was blocked by
yeah,
Comfort?
I do, and that's how
I'll
they
have
scored
another
it.
look at that.
That's how they scored it.
Hyman, well, we might have to change our scoring because if Comfort stopped that, the goalie wasn't going to stop it. So we
Nope.
would count that as we would count like when the goalie can't make the save and someone stops the puck from going in the net, it actually acts as the goalie. We will count that. So I'll have another look at that too.
2:26 left in the third, I think it was. Anyway, and then of course overtime. So it was a night where. And the other thing about Zach Hyman, and this isn't going to be my bad thing, but I didn't like this at all. The frickin' game management call by the ref when he got tackled, and the ref called Hyman for diving to even it up. And of course, Colorado scores on the 4-on-4 to tie the game. Mr. Referee, thanks for managing it there, Graham Skilleter, my favorite. Anyway, it's not going to be my bad thing, but I am going to mention it because that call was weak.
Did Hyman kick off the sequence on the second goal? I think one of the announcers said it was Draisaitl who got back, but I saw it, I thought it was Hyman who broke up the 2-on-1. Colorado had a 2-on-1 going up ice, and Hyman, I thought it was Hyman who stopped that off, and that the Oilers got possession of the puck and they never gave it up before scoring their second goal on the power play. So
there was
anyway.
one back check by Hyman where he came a long way back, and I think it was on the power play. And I said to my wife, I think that's the fastest I've ever seen Zach Hyman skate. It's like a blur coming back into his own zone, and I was very surprised to find out later it was Hyman. But anyway, it was on the penalty kill because it was, on the Oilers power play to kind of negate a 2-on-1. So it's probably the play you're thinking of.
He's got 20 goals now, Bruce, in 41 games. That's 40 goal pace. I mean, you can start to talk realistically about someone being on a 40 goal pace. We are halfway through the year. It's not like early in the year when people are on like 300 goal paces or whatever.
It is not a fluke.
No. Man, that game was something. So where are we now, Bruce? I'm just still a little scattered.
Well, we did good things, and now we're going to do one bad thing. Do you want me to go first? You went first.
Oh, yeah, I went first on my good thing. I went out of order there. Sorry, that's why I'm discombobulated. Yeah, go ahead with your bad thing.
Okay. Yeah, my bad thing is Oilers' defensive coverage, much of it by forwards. But I'm going to single out a particular play that was extremely costly. This was the tying goal midway through the third period where Edmonton has had led 2-0 going into the third. Led 2-0 going into the third. And McKinnon's already scored one on a dazzling end rush. Credit where due. But on the 2-2 goal, it's a 4-on-4. And the Oilers send out, instead of sending out McDavid and Draisaitl like they usually do, they send out McDavid and Yamamoto. And the puck went deep into the left wing corner from Colorado's perspective, so the defensive right corner. And Connor McDavid went into the corner. I think that too was JT Compher that he was up against. And he tried to take an angle where he was going to come out with the puck and just sweep around and go pouring up the ice. Well, he got on the wrong side of the puck, and Compher was able to protect it. And then McDavid, I'm not sure what he did after that, but it wasn't enough. He kind of stood to the side in the corner, like where the defenseman should be. And Yamamoto's out on the near side boards covering his defenseman. And the two Oilers D-men kind of got their guy, and McDavid's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And a pass gets made out of the corner, and I think it got deflected by maybe Kulak. It was kind of bad luck, but I mean, he was trying to make a play, and he tipped it, and it was sliding out towards the blue line, but it didn't quite get there when Brad Hunt was able to keep it in. And McDavid just goes coasting across through the middle of the ice, and by coasting, I mean like 2 miles an hour. He's not barely moving. And of course, it's his point man who comes in, gets the puck, skates into the slot, shoots and scores. And there was a point there where, you know, if McDavid had taken like even one stride, he's probably got the skating lane covered. And he just failed on that play. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's like, and he knew it. I mean, he banged his stick off the crossbar after the puck was in the net. But guess what? That's too late. You know, if you guys are going to learn to hang on to a lead in the third period, you need all of your players focusing all the time. And you make little mistakes like that, and it winds up in your net. It doesn't matter if it's Brad Hunt who's shooting the puck, you know, or some nobody. I mean, it might be Nathan McKinnon one time or Cale Makar the other time. The goal that killed him for me was the Brad Hunt goal. And to me, that was very sloppy defense and, 4-on-4, so a somewhat more unstructured situation. But where McDavid is and where he played it and what he did after he lost the original puck battle, to me, that was just a very poor play and a very costly one in the end. So, Connor, you're great, and you're my good thing a lot of times, but that wasn't good.
Yeah, I think the best you could say was maybe he thought he was covering, kind of sticking with his man. But man, Bruce, it was like they were all, it was like they're all watching the puck. Is it going to get out? Is it going to get out? Is it going to get out of the zone? Like after it deflected off Kulak, they're all watching it. Yamamoto's watching it. McDavid's watching it. They're watching it. And McDavid, if he had been moving his feet, Bruce, if he had just been moving his feet out towards that puck, because just go for it.
With the puck,
take a few strides, because he was pretty much like he did coast. But if he had just charged, there would have not have been a shot.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of hustle that this team lacks on defense. And it's endemic on the Oilers. No, pandemic. There's a pandemic lack of hustle on the Oilers, Bruce. It's not endemic. Endemic means it's kind of, maybe it is endemic. Am I getting this wrong? Endemic means it's kind of, anyway.
There all the time. I call it
there endemic. All the time. Is it endemic?
No.
Pandemic.
That's when it's just part of life. Pandemic, you do your thing and hopefully it goes away after a while. If it doesn't, it becomes endemic. And
yeah, pandemic is the crisis. Endemic is when it's like the normal course of things. That's what we're seeing, just endemic mistakes through what seems to be a lack of intensity. And it was McDavid this time. It's often
we single out other players when it happens to them, and this time it happened to be the one that really caught my eye in this game. That wound up. There were other ones where a save was made and quick. That the whole sequence is quickly forgotten typically, but this one there was no save, and that was the end of the lead.
There were so many other mistakes in this game. So McDavid only made two. We only have him so far for two major mistakes on grade A shots against. Both of them were on goals against. Leon, but my bad thing is Leon's line, which was hard matched against the McKinnon line and got eaten alive. And it mainly came down to Cece and Nurse had a really, they leaked a lot of grade A shots against, but I really thought the major culprits were Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins. Draisaitl at even strength, 7 major mistakes on grade A shots against, Nugent Hopkins 5. And they just seemed to step behind the play all night long in terms of shutting down that really super quick line of McKinnon, Rodriguez. And then they move Rantanen to that line in the third period. Who was the other member in the first? Was it Lehkonen? Lehkonen in the first couple periods. But yeah, I'll just pick on one play in particular. This was in the first period. McKinnon is just, the Avs have the puck in the corner. McKinnon is cruising into the slot. There's Leon there. And I think it was either Hyman or, I think Hyman as well on this one. And the puck is passed through Nurse into the slot, and Draisaitl just doesn't pick up McKinnon. Hyman doesn't pick up McKinnon. McKinnon puts it off the post, almost scores. This is early in the game. And that was Leon all night long, just a little bit short, getting to plays, getting to pucks, getting beat constantly on grade A shots, having a pretty rough game. Nugent Hopkins, same thing. These are, obviously Leon had 2 assists, made a fantastic pass on the first goal through the crease area to McDavid, and then on the next one he made a great pass to Barry to set up that shot that went in. But defensively, that line just wasn't even close to shutting down McKinnon's line. And I think the Oilers are going to have to think hard about this, how they're going to beat the Avs if they ever meet in the playoffs, if the Oilers make the playoffs. I think, Bruce, that they need to activate players like McLeod and Puljujarvi and Janmark. I think quicker players, more defensive-minded players against this line. They need another line to step up and be the shutdown line on a line like that. And I don't know if the Oilers have that, if McLeod's ready for that kind of contest. I mean, McLeod was the Oilers outshot. They had one shot 4-7 against when McLeod was on ice. So it's not like he was great tonight, but he didn't make any mistakes on grade A shots against. And that's what I think the Oilers really need. They need a line they can put out there and play 15 minutes a game, even strength against these guys. Puljujarvi they only played him 8 minutes. Like, I just think if it's your only role, if that's what you're getting paid to do, you don't have scoring on your mind, you're just out there. Boy, would that ever free up the McDavid and Draisaitl lines to do some damage against the Avs? Because the strategy that the Oilers have right now, it's not working. It's not coming close to working. It didn't come close in the playoffs. It didn't come close tonight. And they got to try something else. And they need a checking line. I think McLeod can do this job. I think Puljujarvi can do this job, and I think Janmark can do this job. So that's what I'd like to see tried. They should start trying it in some other games. Like, I know that it means giving these guys more ice time because the top players on other teams are out there a lot. Well, do it. See if that works, because what's working now, it's not working now. It's not coming close to working. We're halfway through the season. This team isn't figuring it out how to play defense. I mean, they had a good game last game after their team meeting, and they all, they played against the Islanders, a far less dynamic offensive hockey team. And they had a really solid defensive game, but against a good attacking team, their defense is like a big sieve. So try something different, try something new, and see if that works, because the status quo is a failure.
Yeah, well, this was a Colorado team that came into tonight's game with 5 consecutive losses. I think a couple of them were, loser, 3-point games, but they, 5 consecutive losses, and they played like they were very hungry and desperate to win, which you had to know was coming. And we saw some of their fantastic skill. At the same time, this is a team that was missing Pavel Francouz, who they didn't miss him tonight. This was Georgiev's game, and he played great. But on defense, they were missing Bowen Byram and Josh Manson, effectively their second pairing. I believe that's how they roll. And up front, they were missing Gabriel Landeskog and Valerie Nichushkin, two fabulous left wingers. I mean, Oilers fans can, when we say we miss Evander Kane, certainly we miss Evander Kane. But Nichushkin and Landeskog are left wingers of, I would say, similar quality, different attributes, but high end left wingers. So Colorado was down several courts in this game, and yet they still had it. And I thought their depth players had the better of the flow of play. They didn't get any goals, and Oilers depth players didn't get scored on at all. In the end, it was Connor McDavid at -3 in a 3-2 loss, where of course he was on the ice for the 2 power play goals by the Oilers. Didn't get credited the plus for those, but among those beaten on a 5-on-5, a 4-on-4, and a 3-on-3 goal in one game. So it was the top guys that were struggling. And as you say, the Draisaitl line, they were spending entire shifts in their own end of the ice with the way Colorado was whipping pucks around and seemingly winning puck battles that were chipping it into a corner where always seemed to be a Colorado guy who could get there just before the Edmonton guy seemed to.
They got to start. The Oilers have to start taking it personally. I think that McKinnon's getting the best of them in game after game. Like McDavid and Draisaitl have to make up their minds. We are not going to let this guy beat us again. We're going to beat him. We're going to outplay him. We're going to out-hustle him, because he's taken it to them. Credit to Nathan McKinnon. He really. There's very few players, Bruce, who I think take it to Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. Hardly anyone. Like it's like a class of like one or two. And McKinnon and McCarr are the two. They're the two guys who consistently do it. And Rantanen. Yeah, this is a tough team. It's going to be it's a tough matchup for the Oilers, and they need. I think they got to think about their formula. Maybe trust in some younger players. That probably sounds shocking, but trust in some younger players and some other players to step up, because it's not going to happen just relying so heavily on these big players. McDavid played 26-25 tonight. Nugent Hopkins 25-18. Leon Draisaitl 27-57. Yeah. What did McLeod play? 13-59. Like, give him 3 more minutes. Give him 4 more minutes. See what happens. And anyway, I made my point on that. Bruce, what is your number?
Yeah. Number. Yeah. I can't get away from it. Another blown 2-goal lead. 4th time in the last 7 home games where the Oilers have led a game by 2 goals at any point in the game and wound up losing all 4 of those games that they had the 2-goal. I mean, they won a couple where they also had a 2-goal lead at some point, but they basically lost the equivalent of a best-of-7 series just in games where they actually held a 2-goal lead and were unable to hold it, and also, crucially, unable to build on it. Like the 5-2 loss to Vancouver, they got out to the 2-0 jump in the first, and Vancouver tied it in second and then got 3 more in the third. The 5-2 loss to Seattle earlier this week, Oilers had a 2-0 lead after early in the second, and then Seattle got 4 in like 10 minutes, and Edmonton never had any response. I mean, you recall, Edmonton had no grade A shots from 2-0 till after it was 5-2 and then truly in garbage time. And earlier, the one against St. Louis where they led 3-1 more than halfway through the third period, let that one get away. Tonight, 2-0 starting the third period. Like, what's it going to take? Like, what do you need? Like a 5-goal lead? I mean, seriously. Like, either,
Yeah.
either learn how to defend the lead or else learn how to score more goals to build on it. One of the two. We probably got it done a lot of nights. And yet there was defensive breakdowns. They did come close to scoring, I'll grant you, but they never did find the way to get that third one tonight. And 4 times in 7 home games. Like,
Yeah. And the badness,
they
Bruce,
won. They won 1 of the 7 games.
couple really bad penalties too. Costin in the neutral zone, and then Draisaitl's retaliatory penalty in the third period. Like those were just, you just can't take those penalties when you're trying to win the game. Like,
yeah. I didn't like the one on Hyman, and I hated also the one on Draisaitl in the first period where he got a penalty for taking the opponent's helmet off, his helmet off. A rule, I might add, that was brought into the books last year after Colorado against Edmonton won the game by pulling Darnell Nurse's helmet off. That was Nazem Kadri that did that. Remember that game in overtime where Nurse had to go to the bench and Colorado was it Kadri even who scored? Anyway, it was a nightmare. So they changed that, made a rule against that, and guess what? First time Edmonton plays Colorado, Edmonton gets a penalty for it. But never mind that. I mean, look at any of the replays, but especially the low to the ice one. And a Comfer, I think it was him again, that brought his hand up. He put it on Draisaitl's shoulder pad and then basically into his face and just ripped him down to the ice. And I mean, at minimum, it was 2 minutes each, like the way they called that greasy diving call, to even it up. Well, how they couldn't even up that penalty when Draisaitl basically gets horse-collared and dragged to the ice. Like,
that was bad.
Oh, man.
He had his arm over Draisaitl's shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Come on.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was as obvious a hold as you can possibly get, I think. And
yeah.
so I said to my wife, I said, I'm waiting for the intermission because the announcers Harner Ryan, he saw it right away. But as soon as the ref called it something different, they kind of deferred to the ref, which I personally don't do that. And I thought it was a crappy call. And I said, Bieksa will get that in the first intermission. But Bieksa, I lost respect for Bieksa because he didn't see it, or I'm not sure how much he likes the Oilers, to be honest. But the other panelists got it, but Bieksa let me down. So I said he would catch that one for sure and rail on the refs on my behalf, but he didn't.
It's a pretty high event game
yes, it was.
There was a
lot going on. Yes,
there's a lot going on. So I was writing the game grades through the game, and man, I was busy all game long. That was a
high event game.
I mean, it's like double the number of scoring chances, grade A shots that you get in a game. So that was
29.
Speaking of that, my number is the 29 grade A shots, which was the most grade A shots the Oilers have given up this year by far. The next highest amount was 20. And that was, let me just figure this out, against the Washington Capitals when the Oilers also lost 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
Stuart Skinner also was unbelievable.
He was the first star in that game.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I've talked about how an Oilers goalie hasn't stolen a game. It feels like Stuart Skinner's stolen a lot of games. Mm-hmm. But what happens is he's played absolutely brilliantly in about 4 or 5 or 6 losses that the Oilers have had, and this was another one, and that Washington game was one. So they gave up 20 grade A shots in that one. They gave up 15 5-alarm shots in that Washington game. This one was 29 grade A shots and 13 5-alarm shots. So this was actually, in terms of expected goals against, it was higher than the Washington game slightly. But Skinner was brilliant in both games, and hopefully we'll see some brilliant games from Jack Campbell. The Oilers are going to need that if they're going to make a run here and become a playoff team, which I think they're going to do. I'm not giving up hope, but I don't know what it is, Bruce. This defensive play, like,
yeah. Well, natural stat trick, and I'll emphasize again, they do it different than us. They do counts, but they have no quality control. They had shot attempts, the Oilers with 42%. This is all situations throughout the game. Shots 40%, scoring chances 40%, but high danger chances at 53% for Edmonton. But overall, expected goals was 3.2 for Edmonton, 4.2 for Colorado. And at 5-on-5, those figures were 2.95 for Colorado and 0.79 for Edmonton for expected goals of 5-on-5. Edmonton's power play was devastating, and in fact, they had lots of chances. That's where they did get both their goals. And 5-on-5, they generated not a lot, not near enough.
Yeah. I think if the natural stat trick guys watched that game, they would agree that the Colorado had way more really great scoring chances than scoring opportunities than the Oilers did. But anyway, yeah.
Well, they had high dangers at 11-6 Colorado at 5-on-5. So in other situations, which of course included the 3-on-3 overtime, where Edmonton did have some dandy chances, all other manpowers, but 5-on-5 would have been then 12-5 for Edmonton. And that's the thing that's really strange this year, is that Edmonton's 5-on-5 play has been pretty mediocre or worse for much of the year, but they score a ridiculous number of their goals at other strengths, and of course power play being the obvious one. But the Oilers they kind of boss games at all other situations, and McDavid's and Draisaitl stats really reflect this as well. But 5-on-5 is just not good enough. And tonight they were the second team by a mile at 5-on-5.
Yeah, and often it's been the goalie, right? Like often the problem has been the Oilers goalie, and tonight it wasn't. It was the team. All right, Bruce. When's the next game?
Monday night. Monday night.
Are they on the road? I hope.
Right. Yeah, we're going now. It's all late games for a while, folks. Next week there's 4 road games, and they're all at 8 or 8:30. And I got the schedule right here. LA Kings on Monday, 8:30 Mountain. Anaheim Wednesday, 8:30 as well. I got really tiny font here. Maybe that one's 8 o'clock. San Jose Friday at 8:30. Then Vegas in the late game in Hockey Night in Canada next Saturday at 8 o'clock. So that'll be a back-to-back and a tough one. Flying east from California to Nevada, and playing a real tough team in the back end of a back-to-back. So this week is going to be it's going to tell a tale for the Oilers. They've played one game against the home game against the Kings, lost it. One home game against the Ducks, lost that. Haven't played the Sharks at all this year, and that's a team that's down and out in the standings that they have to make hay against. But this is the Oilers, so who the hell knows what they're going to do in any of those games.
Alrighty, let's leave it there, Bruce. Thanks for talking tonight.
All right, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.